do these little side flexes, Oh, by the way, did you know I did this thing and I met this person the other day? You're not going to have a YouTube channel. Hi folks, Father Columba here. I wanted to talk to you about wounds today. I was reading John's Gospel, John chapter 20, and we have two accounts of the resurrection of Jesus. First one is Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday. Jesus rises from the dead, appears to various people, and then he appears to the 12 and various others. And then a week later he appears to St. Thomas, right, who wasn't there when he appeared to the other ones. He came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." When he had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. And it goes on. And he again says, "Peace be with you." He sends them, he breathes on them, says to forgive sins. It's so interesting. Peace be with you, shalom. Obviously, they had abandoned him. They thought he was dead. Maybe lots of them had doubted and despaired and given up. Like, what were we doing these last 3 years? Oh my gosh, this is not what I expected. Our Lady is sitting over in the corner going, "It's gonna be grand, lads. Don't worry about it." And I mean, if I was there, I would have been full on freaking out. Just, what am I gonna do? I have to go home, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you loser! You bet on the wrong horse there, didn't you, lad?" Oh, it would have been so embarrassing. And then in the midst of this completely impossible thing happens. There's no way this can happen. And it just happened. He just walked in the room and he's dead. He is horribly, horrifically dead. And he just walked in the room. And he says this beautiful thing, "Peace be with you." And then he shows them his wounds. Here he is, complete victor. He has devastated Satan, hell, and sin. He is victorious. He still keeps his wounds and he keeps them forevermore. So he's revealing this nature of his as this eternal sacrifice of one offered to the Lord. But also, and this is the bit I really like, I wonder if he's saying to us as well, it's okay to have wounds. In fact, it is through these wounds, his wounds, that we are healed. St. Peter reminds us, quoting Isaiah, "By his wounds we are healed." So it's so important that he keeps them, because these are the signs of his love for us, where his eternal sacrifice is made visible on the cross. His love and the Father's heart and the Father's love for us is made visible in this. We ought too, who also have wounds, various sorts, some of our own making. He says, peace. Let's just breathe. It's okay to be yourself. For me, that's kind of what that implies. It's like, it's okay. Just be still. I know you messed up. I know you ran away. I know you were terrified of the cross, and isn't that the issue, right? Most of the problems I get into is because I'm afraid of the cross and I'm running away. If I was really had the courage to just face and press into the cross when the Lord calls me to it, I think I would be a much holier guy. And whatever it is, however we've avoided or caused pain or crucifixion to others or caused it to the Lord, caused it to ourselves, he says, peace. It's okay, just breathe, calm. And he says, look, I'm spending most of my life trying to hide the wounds. I want everyone to think I'm perfect. I don't want everyone to know that I'm wounded and broken and sinful and unable to do what, well, clearly you're a friar, you're a priest, you're a Christian, you're a mum, you're a dad, you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're whatever. You should be able to do this stuff. What are you talking about? Sometimes we're not, because we're limited. We're not God. And sometimes I'm ashamed of not being God. I'm ashamed of falling short of my own opinion of who I should be. And the Lord comes into that place of pain and confusion and says, peace be with you. Look, this is me. This is me for all eternity. I am weak. I was weak. I embraced weakness and I conquered through weakness. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to be wounded. Do you have lots of wounds from your childhood? Jesus says, peace. Look at my heart. I know what it's like to be torn asunder from the inside out. I know what it's like to come to the end and have given everything and it all seems to be for nothing. I know what it's like for the whole world to turn against you and to ridicule you and to reject you. I know what that's like, he says. He says, peace, breathe, I'm here. And I'm here as the wounded one. Yes, the healed, victorious wounded one, but I'm still the wounded one, he says. Can we be peaceful in the presence of our own wounds with him? I have a friend who likes to say that it's not in our strengths that we find most connection with people. It's in the weaknesses. Do you know what it's like when somebody shares their struggles, and if you can relate to it, and even if you can't, it's just like, wow. Do you ever have someone that you really have struggled with, and then you hear their story, you're like, oh my God, it all makes sense. Because it's in our weaknesses that we feel the most connection. When sometimes I'm talking to people, I want to put on a good show, tell them all the great things I've done, do these little side flexes, oh, by the way, did you know I did this thing and I met this person the other day? I've got a YouTube channel. I want people to think I'm amazing because they think they'd be like, oh, wow, you're amazing. I want to be your friend. I want a connection with you. But actual connection happens in the whole opposite direction. St. Paul also touches into this in 2 Corinthians. The Lord speaks to him, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And then Paul says, I will all the more gladly boast of my weaknesses, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ then I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. That's 2 Corinthians 12. Yeah, it's okay to be weak. This is the club for the weak. That God himself, in taking on humanity, would in that take on weakness so that he could die for us, so that we could be saved, so that he could have a tool, if you will, with which to wreck hell and empty it and plunder its hoped for prey, you and me, and bring us to the Father, bring us to heaven. Wounds and all. Now, yes, we will have to be sanctified before we can get in there, and these wounds will have to be purified. We can't get in there with sin. That's not what I'm talking about. But wounds, the wounds that sometimes lead us to our worst sins. The sins will be forgiven, please God, if we confess them. But the wounds, some of them are still going to be there. Some of them might be our greatest shining glory, like our Lord's wounds. Don't know what that'll look like, but there you go. Some thoughts from Jesus' resurrection. God bless you.